I'm waffling back and forth on the Saints again. Last night on Scone and T, Matt was saying, like, does Derek Carr help you win a Super Bowl? And no, right? Like, I don't think Derek Carr is going to win a Super Bowl. But I do question, does every decision need to be made through a Super Bowl or bust lens? And you may say, well, yeah, obviously, T-Bob, that's the goal. And that's fine. And I feel what you're saying. But that will lead to some lean years. That's going to lead to a more long-term view that is not necessarily going to be, hey, let's be as good as we can every year, but hey, let's try to plan for the future. And it's not a guarantee that it's going to work out. You can try to plan for the future and you can end up stuck forever, like we've seen on NFL franchises, across the league. And so, again, like, I'm not sure that I believe that every decision needs to be made at the Super Bowl. Like if Derek Carr is the difference between 7-10 or 10-7, which is very arguable. I'm not saying he is. But if he is the best quarterback available that you can get and he can push you to something like 10-7, is that not more enjoyable as a fan than another 7-10 year while you figure it out? Now, maybe if you have a young rookie quarterback, it becomes exciting, but I don't know, Jake. I mean, how do you feel about that basic question? Like, does everything need to be made through a Super Bowl or bust mindset?
Somewhat, just because in the NFL, it's different than college football. And by the way, I guess Katie was watching our show on YouTube, on our TV in our room. I came back and I turned it on last night, and Scone and T popped up. I don't know I don't know if it just rolled right into it or whatever on the channel. And as soon as I turned the TV on, Matt has a big F-bomb. Memphis is right there. And he's like, Dad, who's this bad man with T-Bob? And I'm like, well, I thought people leadership didn't use language like that, but so I had to explain that one to him. But y'all were talking about Derek Carr, so I did listen for a little bit there. It's one of those hard things because you want to be more competitive, you want to win more games, and I do understand what you're saying. Like, hey, go win 10 games, and that improves you, and that helps you get.
And it's a good product. It's fun for the fans.
It is, and you get some juice going, but like at what cost? And we're talking about dollars and cents here. Like, does he give you such an upgrade over what you currently have that you can justify how much money you're spending to get him? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, that is the big issue.
I do understand. Like, it is Super Bowl or bust because in college there's 133 FBS teams now with Sam Houston and Jacksonville State joining. So now there's 133. Of those 133, realistically, 12 have a chance. 12 teams have a chance to win the national championship, and that number might be high. It might be 8.
I was about to say, it's probably more narrow than 12.
What I mean? It's between 8 and 12.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the NFL, that number's much higher.
Definitely.
It is. Definitely. And so because you play on somewhat of an even playing field, and you have a salary cap, and you can, in 1 year, you can draft a Joe Burrow and go from an awful organization to one that's competing for championships. Like, that can happen, right? So you have to have a little bit different mentality. So I do agree there, like, it has to kind of be that kind of mentality in the NFL. But I also can agree with you that it can be a step better this upcoming year, get some juices back into the crowd, get some life back into the crowd. Because right now, the Saints fan base wonders why the head coach is coming back, why there's been no changes on offense, what's your plan at quarterback, what's your plan with Michael Thomas, what's your plan for a lot of different things. So it would help some of that, and it helped change a narrative.
Yeah.
But again, what's the cost for that narrative, and is it worth what it's going to cost to sign Derek Carr? And is he that much better than, say, sticking with Andy Dalton, drafting a quarterback, developing that quarterback for one season before he takes over?
See, so that is kind of the crux. Is he that much better than Andy Dalton? Like, does he bring you from 7-10 to 10-7? I think, look, Derek Carr actually has a lot of game-winning drives to his name over the years. And Andy Dalton, that's his biggest failure last year. Is he had multiple opportunities to close out games and or win games at the end, and I think he did it once last season. So, like, I think there's an argument to be made that Derek Carr could be the difference between 7-10, 10-7, and I'm not really worried about the money. I feel like you could still develop a quarterback behind Carr if you really wanted to, but I keep waffling. I'm back on Derek Carr. I was on Derek Carr yesterday morning. Last night I was kind of like, you know what? I kind of understand the logic of building for the future, sticking with Dalton for now, blah, 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 blah. But again, what do you cost yourself in terms of how many bridges do you burn if you really run it back with Dalton and company? We'll see. We'll see. Are you going to draft Hendon Hooker? Who knows? Coming up next,
just to finish the conversation, like if you make this move, remember other moves have to be made to make it work on the salary cap. So it's not only making this move, and because if you trade for him, like you absorb all of that. And I know the Saints are wizards and they're great at that's great, but they had to do something.
Yeah.
And how much longer can you continue to kick the can down the road? And how much longer can you afford to maybe get rid of some secondary pieces that help you become the team that you want to be because you're trying to fit in a quarterback's contract? So there's a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself. Like, if you're going to move some salary, okay, go ahead and do that. But if you want to move that salary, what are you getting back? If you move salary, good players that have value, just to sign Derek Carr, that doesn't excite me.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's tough to know who would be cap casualties, who would be extended. I mean, there's going to be dead money on the books eventually, but is it a swallowable amount? Like,
I mean, Saints love dead money.
Like right now, Cam Jordan has $2 million each year for like 2 years at the end of his contract when he's not going to be on the team. But that's like less than 1% of the cap. It's probably okay, but we'll see. We'll see how big it ends up going.
It just depends on how many of those you do. If you do 10 of them, then it's like, okay, well, that's 10%.
Exactly.